Amitabha Buddha. Hello everyone, so today I feel like sharing the rebirth case of a South Korean monk called Monk Hetan. So this was also quite a well-known rebirth case and was very inspiring as well. This case happened in the last century in the 60s. There was a monk called Hetan. So obviously this is a Chinese pronunciation. I'm not sure about the Korean pronunciation, so I apologize in advance for some Korean audiences who might be watching this, and feel free to let me know about the Korean name. So Monk Hetan was not really a famous monk in South Korea, and he took a monastic life at the age of 19. And ever since then, he just practiced Amitabha recitation. He would just recite the name of Namo Amituofo Buddha all the time, no matter what he did. Whether he was walking, sitting, and even eating, he would always have the name repeated in his mind. And even when he was talking to others, he would still recite Amitofo in his mind. So it was really non-stop. It was said Monk Hetan actually realized Nianfo Samadhi in early 30s, and he had already saw Amitabha Buddha. He felt this infinite life that penetrated in his heart. He couldn't help but to share this Dharma bliss that he experienced to as many people as possible. So he came down from the mountain and walked into the big city of Seoul, the capital of South Korea. So what he did was, at that time, there were people who were promoting movies. They would wear like a big barrel on the body, and then on the side of the barrels, it would be the posters for the upcoming movies. And he did exactly that, except on the four sides of the barrels, he would stick the name of Amitabha Buddha on each side. And also, he will wear a hat which says Namo Amituofo Buddha. So everyone who saw him would be able to see the name of Amitabha Buddha. He would not only wear this barrel all the time, but he would also recite the name of Amitabha Buddha out loud from day to the evening. And he would walk to all the streets in Seoul. And he wanted all the people to be able to hear the name of Amitabha Buddha. And he had this deep faith that if they could hear the name of Amitabha Buddha, then they could obtain liberation in the future, if not this lifetime, and definitely future lifetimes. This was exactly what's stated in the Infinite Life Sutra. So for those who show a bit more interest in Amitabha Buddha and what he was doing, he would explain to them very patiently about Amitabha Buddha and how they could seek rebirth to the Pure Land by reciting the name of Amitabha Buddha. So he did this for 5 years. So later he became interested in drinking alcohol, and he will also visit the restaurants and bars in Seoul. So we shouldn't judge Monk Hetan like this, because this could be the skillful means adopted by the Bodhisattvas. What he did when he went into the restaurants, he would also grant wish to the restaurant owner to make them hear the name of Amitabha Buddha. So these are actually skillful means of the Bodhisattvas. So this also happened in China. For instance, Jigong Huofo, monk Jigong, was a famous example in China that he would eat meat, he would drink alcohol, would do like all sorts of crazy things. But if he ate a pigeon and he spit it out, it would become a live pigeon. When he drank alcohol, if he spit it out, it would become gold to use to cover the Buddha statue. So these are really already highly enlightened beings who were just like magicians, who could just do anything they want. So we should not judge people just based on their behaviors, because we might not know whether they are enlightened beings or not. If they're enlightened, then no problem, they'll probably just adopt skillful means to help sentient beings. But we shouldn't do that, because we're just ordinary people. It's unless we can obtain enlightenment, unless we are also like them, like magician, then we should really observe the precepts. So Monk Hetan spent his later years in the temple called Fayu Temple in Busan City. And a lot of monks, they didn't like him, and no one cared about him because he loved drinking, so he could not eat and sleep with the monks. But the abbot of that temple was quite generous with him and also made him stay and live and ate with the workers. So every day after breakfast, he would just went out and then came back until late in the evenings. And one day, it was about 3 months before his rebirth, he told the monastic manager that he was about to leave in 3 months, and the manager also didn't care. He thought it was just a joke. He was not sure exactly what he was talking about. And 1 week before Monk Hetan sought rebirth, he again met with the monastic manager and also gave him all all the money that he had. He really did not have much. It was about 60,000 Korean won, which was about 50 US dollars. So he said, this was all I had, and I'm about to leave soon, so I don't need any of this. I will donate to the temple. And then later, also for his socks, he got more 30,000 Korean won. And he said, this should be enough for my funeral. And then he said, now I really don't have anything. I don't have any sutra. I don't have a suitcase. I don't have a piece of land. I had absolutely nothing. And the monastic manager, became a bit suspicious about all this abnormal behaviors of monk Hetan, and he asked 3 young monks to sort of watch him. On the day of his rebirth, about 10 o'clock in the morning, he told the young monks that he was about to leave, and the young monks became really impatient with him because they of course had no idea what he was talking about, and they were like, you can't leave now, this is the time when we make offerings to the Buddha, how could you leave? And he was like, oh right, you're right, so let's go then. And he went with the 3 monks to the main hall, and he was sitting there patiently waiting for the whole offering ceremony to be completed. And after the ceremony was finished, he told the other monks, well, now I think there is really nothing else to do. And then he lied down, and the last thing he said was, may all the beings in the entire Dharma realms to realize Buddhahood. And then he sought rebirth just like that, because he had already obtained Nianfo Samadhi, so he could leave anytime he liked. After he left the monastic manager, all of them, they were so shocked, and he became really genuinely remorseful. The enlightened being was actually living with them all the time, but he was pretty much looked down by all of them. So that is why we shall never look down at anyone, no matter who they are. So this, I found, was an extremely inspiring story. All of us Nianfo practitioners, we can all learn from monk Hetan, especially how he really had this supreme bodhicitta. So for seeking rebirth, one doesn't need to obtain Nianfo Samadhi. Even for the highest grade of high rebirth, one doesn't need to obtain Nianfo Samadhi. But what one needs is a great bodhicitta and also good cultivation for obtaining the high level of rebirth. But if for people who have obtained Nianfo Samadhi, then they can choose to leave whenever they want. And this was obviously the case of monk Hetan. And not only he had realized Nianfo Samadhi, he also had this supreme bodhicitta. He definitely obtained the highest grade of high rebirth. For those who are interested in knowing more about the different grades and levels of rebirth, you're welcome to join us in our weekly Dharma talks, where we will discuss the key chapters of the sutras, and currently we are talking about the 9th grade of rebirth. So I'll share more rebirth cases in the near future. Namo Amituofo Buddha. Namo Amituofo.